what's the fantasy fight for 2025, excluding Devin, that you would like to see just as a fan?
Excluding Devin?
Including him.
Devin and Jaron Ennis.
We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live, Boxing Ego unpack. Yeah. We unpack. We unpack. We unpack. Coming to you live. So, inquiring minds would like to know, what do the Haneys have to say after Jaron Boots Ennis just knocked out Stanionis to claim 3 belts, basically? He had the IBF, he took the WBA, and the Ring Magazine belt was up for grabs. Now, on my channel, I am the best in the business, and it's not even close. I've already made a full-fledged breakdown of Jaron Boots Ennis versus Amantis Stanionis, the actual performance. The video is on my page, so you should be able to easily find it in my last few videos. For more on that specific performance outside of the cliff notes you will hear in this video, make sure you guys check out that initial breakdown. What really happened is the title. Enough about that. Now, full disclosure, the clip you seen at the beginning was Bill Haney, and he did an interview. And just to give you guys the proper context, it was before the Amantis Stanionis fight. To place it specifically, it was when Devin Haney did that UK media workout. He had that video where Bill Haney was, I guess, confronting Ryan as he was walking out of a hotel in the UK with the date. The Ring magazines, they did the award show. So that's when this clip came out, right? Right around that time. So it was before the Boots versus Stanionis performance. However, it was still earlier this year. And in case you want the specifics, I posted it the day it came out, January 12th. So it was at the beginning of this year. Now it was still in this year. Like, my thing is this, I believe boxing particularly, but the world at large, it lacks accountability, right? Especially on the internet. On the internet, there's no accountability. People can have these weird takes like Tupac ain't a dope MC or rapper, or Nas is not top 5, and there's no accountability. It's just everyone wants to do a podcast, everybody got an opinion, you know, this type of thing, and there's no accountability. And what I am doing by being the online presence is bringing accountability back to my sport, the sport of boxing, because it needs it. So you will see videos, the now and then videos from me like this, where I compare and contrast what you said then versus what you're saying now. So my question is, what do the Haneys have to say after seeing Jaron Ennis go run through Amantis Stanionis and made it look pretty easy? Like, what was said to be a competitive fight. Stanionis looked in shape. He was shorter, but he was brolic. He looked like he was in crazy shape. He seemed confident, and Jaron Ennis devastated him and went ham. I do think it helped Jaron Ennis that it was a unification, so the IBF typical rules, when it's just for one belt, didn't apply. See, some of you guys don't know that, but I'm the king of boxing talk, so leave it to me to explain. So what am I talking about? Normally, the IBF has a rule where the champion fighter has to weigh in the day of the fight. They want to make sure you're not rehydrating too crazy. So although that rule is still in existence, it doesn't actually apply it doesn't apply in unifications, and this was a unification. So when there's another belt at stake, those same IBF rules do not apply, right? And that is of benefit to Jaron Ennis, in my honest opinion, because he looks big, right? He's a big welterweight, and being able to fight Stanionis and be comfortable and fight at whatever weight you rehydrate to will be a benefit to Jaron Boots Ennis. He looked too big, too strong for Stanionis, and his hand speed gave Stanionis all the issues in the world. And I'm not taking away from the performance, but I'm boxing ego. I'm not going to leave something out because it makes you feel better. Boots is a big welterweight. It is what it is. So with that being said, Jaron Boots Ennis, he's a big welterweight. He's going to have to take advantage. The IBF, normally they have a rule where you have to weigh in the next day. But again, that rule doesn't apply when it's a unification. And since he fought for Stanionis' WBA belt along with the IBF, Jaron Boots Ennis didn't have to weigh in on Saturday. And I think that was a big advantage to him, big advantage to him. But that being said, Jaron Ennis is going to have to capitalize and make the big fights at welterweight while he could still make the weight. I forecasted, and I've been very accurate to this point in my career, that by his early 30s, Boots is not going to be able to be at welterweight. That's my honest opinion. He looks like he's outgrowing the division, and things slow down for a man, when you hit your 30s. So you'll see. But that remains to be seen if that prophecy comes true, but I know it will. But he has to make good on all of the fights he can get, be it a unification with Brian Norman, maybe he has to fight a mandatory to keep his belts, Giasov, Barrios. But then another fight is the fight with Devin Haney, which would be a big fight. And like I said, I am all for accountability. If you said it, then that means you meant it. And Bill Haney, I showed you guys the clip at the beginning. Earlier this year, he was talking about a fight with Boots Ennis and his son. The question was very simple and it was open-ended. If you can wave a magic wand, make sure you guys like the video, wave a magic wand and get any fantasy fight going for your son, what fight would that be? And he uttered the name Jaron Boots Ennis. So back to accountability, I would love to hear what the Haneys have to say. I never really heard Devin Haney call out Jaron Ennis himself, but since your dad is your manager and trainer, and managers know best, I think it's a fight that people would definitely like to see. And like I said, you would have to get it going sometime soon, because Boots is not going to be able to probably stay in the division too long. And I think he's going to be looking for either fights that help him become undisputed or allow him to keep his belts, or just big fights like a Devin Haney or even a Ryan Garcia, another guy that called him out. Now, my honest personal opinion, I feel like Ryan or Devin, those would be very difficult fights fighting a guy like Boots. Ryan basically acts like Boots ain't all that, and Bill Haney says he wants his son to fight. But for me, I think Ryan Garcia at least would have, I think his power will carry up to the welterweight division better. So he has a crazy left hook, and I think if his left hook lands flush on anybody, and Boots does get hit, but if it lands on anybody, I think he can get a reaction. So far, it looks like Boots has a chin, but I think Ryan has probably one of the best left hooks, if not the best left hook in boxing right now. In the past, it was Felix Tito Trinidad and David Tua, guys like Nonito Donaire. But right now, in terms of best left hook in the game, it's probably Ryan Garcia, if I'm being honest. There's other people, but in terms of the way he whips it and commits and has so much faith in it and the damage it's done, I would probably say Ryan has a top 3 best hook at the very least. But then you could argue he has perhaps a lesser defense than Devin Haney. But again, I don't know, because Devin Haney looked very vulnerable to the hook in the Ryan Garcia fight. So these guys who are coming up, I don't know. I really don't know how it's going to be. But I don't want to focus too much about Ryan, because Ryan, he did call out Boots. But I think Bill Haney saying he wants Devin to fight Boots, a lot of people, that kind of went under the radar. And I believe it's more recent than when Ryan was saying it, because Ryan was saying it in the locker room. I seen Henry Garcia and Eddie Hearn got into an argument, and that was like after the Devin Haney fight or something, because they were in the backstage and stuff like that. So Bill Haney says he wants his son to fight Boots Ennis. For me, I don't really see it. I can't wait to hear from the Haneyacks, because the Haneyacks, they'll probably say it's a great fight and Devin has a shot to win. But Boots, for me, if he's fighting like he fought Stanionis, he's looking very dangerous. He used some footwork, his aggression, and you got to have something to stave him off of you and keep him honest. That's, from what I'm seeing, power would be a great thing. Like, for me, I feel like a Brian Norman fight would be great, where some people would say, oh, but Boots got too much skill for Brian Norman. Cool. But Brian Norman, you can't sleep. He really has power, and he got some cracks. So boxing is like that, where we've seen guys who had more skill than the other guy, but if they get cracked first and don't recover, then, you know, who's to say what will happen? And I'm not saying that would happen. This is not a prediction for Boots and Brian Norman. I don't give predictions for fights that are not established, because I don't waste my time. My time is money. So I don't like to give like detailed fight breakdowns and predictions. I will give you some, you know, sometimes simple overviews, like Devin Haney versus Boots. I don't know why Bill would want that for his son. If your son couldn't stay away from Ryan's left hook, Boots is just a different animal, and he has crazy hooks, crazy speed, like great. He has flashy tools. You know what I mean? His tools are flashy, pause, where he's showing footwork. It's just like dazzling. You know, he has like a dazzling type of athletic style. And when he puts it all together, like he did with Stanionis and also Roman Villa, he just looks insanely dangerous. Now, again, you could argue that he does get hit some, but that's where I counter. If we're talking about people moving up, Ryan would at least, I think Ryan's bigger than Devin Haney from what I've seen. And Ryan at least has the power and a crazy left hook that he could potentially bank on. Like, he beat Virgil Ortiz in the amateurs, I believe, twice. So he at least has that. For Devin, and it's not just Boots Ennis, I think in general, it's going to be very interesting when he fights full-fledged welterweights. You know, unless he spends his whole career at welterweight fighting at catchweights and guys he's bigger than, like maybe a Jose Ramirez or something like that. But I am very curious to see what the Haneyacks and Bill Haney and Devin Haney have to say regarding Boots. And I noticed something that's very funny in the world of boxing. Bill Haney, he'll make this comment earlier in the year when Boots doesn't have a fight lined up, and he'll put that in the atmosphere. The Haneyacks never talked about it. This is the first that some of you guys are hearing about the fight even being wanted by Team Haney, right? And you also have like people who are kind of ops to Jaron Ennis or whatever fighter. This is just a unilateral, universal thing I noticed in boxing. The point I'm making is, if Gervonta Davis knocks out Frank Martin, the people who are his ops, they just remain in the shadows. But then he has a Lamont Roach fight and the fake take a knee, hair grease thing, they all pop out. You know what I mean? And same thing when Boots didn't look good. I believe Terrence Crawford popped out and said like, oh, don't listen to the critics, blase. He said something to Boots. I remember it was on Twitter. I don't remember what the actual exact sentence was, but he talked about it because Boots, people were giving Boots crap because his Karen Chukadzian rematch performance. But then when Boots looks phenomenal versus Stanionis, I don't hear anything from Crawford. It's just funny. And I know if you pay attention, like I pay attention, you guys will pick up on that. Like the Shakurs and Crawfords and stuff, it's like they're waiting for their ops to do bad and then they'll pop out. Devin has done this too, where Jalil Hackett, if he wins, he won't say nothing. As soon as Jalil Hackett loses, Devin Haney got on Twitter making fun of him. You know what I mean? So a lot of these boxers are doing that, and that's just, to me, it's not a good look. You know, if Boots has a suspect performance, Terrence Crawford, he like acts like he's giving fake support and like, oh, hey, don't worry about the critics and, you know, things like that. But then when Boots looks sensational, you have nothing to say publicly. You know what I mean? And I noticed that. And then people say I hate every fighter because I talked about Boots' weight. They said I hate Boots, but I'm giving him his credit. Whether if he has a okay or a subpar performance, your boy Ego talk about it. If he looks great and exceptional, and I'm saying he should be on the pound for pound list and stuff like that. So how am I the hater? How am I the hater when no matter what the situation is, I talk about it? But then you see actual fighters and other fans and other content creators, and they only talk about it when it's a fighter they don't like, when it's bad. They never talk about the good. So let me know what you guys think. I just had to get that rant off. Let me know what you guys think. Devin Haney, would he be a match for Boots? I think it would be a tough night in the office, personally. We unpacked. Live streaming can be tough, which is why I use StreamYard. Click the link in the description for StreamYard, which is an awesome tool that enables you to set up your stream with ease of use. Get great results with live streaming. It's what I use. Stream to social media with ease with StreamYard. Live streaming is here to stay. Engage with your audience using StreamYard. Great way to reach out to your audience and connect. So you need a tool that can do that. If you're new to YouTube and you're struggling to get views, one tool I can provide to you is TubeBuddy. I've been on YouTube over 10 years. I use TubeBuddy daily to crank out videos just like this one that you're watching. Learn how the pros do it with TubeBuddy. YouTube receives a lot of traffic, which also means a lot of creators, a lot of people putting out content. So you need to learn the ropes so you know how to separate yourself, especially if you're new, but even if you're a pro, use TubeBuddy. The link is in the description. Get more views, more subscribers, and a higher click-through rate, so ultimately you can realize all of your online goals. Use my affiliate link in the description and grow your channel fast.